Picture this. 6 men in cheap black polos, fake badges glinting under the dusk, guns half drawn, shouting at my Sarah VYC dog Duke to back off or they'd neutralize the threat. Neighbors spilled onto their lawns, phones out, floodlights blazing, and there I stood legally blind, a black belt in karate, my heart pounding not with fear but with a cold, hard resolve. This was my front yard, my home, and I wasn't about to let some HOA rent-a-cops terrorize us. How did it come to this? Let me take you back to the beginning. MOVYing in a Maple Grove Estates felt like stepping into a dream I didn't know I still had. After losing my sight 3 years ago, I craved something simple: white picket fences, kids laughing, the smell of fresh-cut grass. My golden retriever, Duke, was my lifeline, his harness a steady anchor as we explored our new cul-de-sac, a cozy 2-bedroom nestled under sprawling oaks. Those first days were bliss. I'd sip coffee on the porch, Duke guiding me on walks, his steps sure as we mapped the neighborhood and my mind the tilt of the sidewalk, the scent of jasmine. Neighbors waved, their voices warm, and Duke, ever the professional, wagged his tail but stayed focused, my good boy. Then I met Linda, the HOA president. She strutted up one afternoon while I unloaded books from a rideshare, her perfume sharp, her heels clicking like a warning. "Welcome to our little community," she said, voice sweet as saccharin but cold underneath. She paused before saying dog, like the word tasted bad. That night, a typed note appeared on my door, warning that certain aggressive breeds needed board approval. I laughed it off. Duke aggressive? His sturdy golden frame was about as threatening as a teddy bear. I tossed the note, refusing to let it sour my fresh start. For a while, life stayed quiet. Duke led me to the mailbox, kids shouted hellos, and I settled into the rhythm of suburbia. But then another note showed up, tucked under my mat like a dirty secret, citing failure to maintain community safety standards. I went to the HOA meeting, held in a clubhouse reeking of air freshener. Linda droned on about infractions, then turned her syrupy voice on me, talking about residents with challenges like I wasn't sitting right there. Duke curled at my feet. I stayed polite, left early, my knuckles tight around Duke's harness. Ignorance, I told myself, could be fixed. But the notes kept coming. My grass was too long by half an inch. My trash bins were 2 feet off. My porch light and a timer for safety was disrupting the nightscape. Whispers followed me on walks, conversations hushing when Duke and I passed. One morning, I overheard Linda by the bulletin board, musing to neighbors about whether blind folks could maintain homes safely, how it might hike insurance rates. Duke pressed against my leg, sensing my clenched jaw. I kept showing up to meetings, neatly dressed, Duke flawless by my side, pro-VYing we belonged. But ignorance wasn't the only game here. It got real when the security patrol rolled out a golf cart with flashing lights, driven by retirees in matching polos, circling my house like vultures. Duke bristled, and I heard the cart's motor linger by my yard, pretending to inspect nothing. Then came the tickets, yellow slips under my mat for nonsense like improper lawn edging or unsanctioned pet equipment code for Duke's harness. They piled up, threatening fines if I didn't comply. At night, the cart buzzed by more often, sometimes idling by my driveway. One night, at 11 p.m., my doorbell rang. Wellness check, a man barked. HOA security. I didn't open the door, heart racing, Duke tense but steady. The police, when I called, said it wasn't illegal if they claimed safety concerns. Then a drone showed up, buzzing over my backyard while Duke and I trained. It hovered low, camera glinting, tracking Duke's every move. I shouted for it to leave, but it kept circling closer when Duke barked. Days later, a ticket arrived, citing nuisance animal behavior VY, or from VY Deo, EVY Denke. Rage burned hot, but I stayed methodical, VYing every note, recording every late-night knock. The worst came when Linda, in her pastel suit, delivered a due $250 fine for harboring an aggressive animal, citing drone footage where Duke barked once at its swoop before sitting on command. She stood on my porch, flanked by board members, lecturing about how emotional support animals weren't suited for suburbia, suggesting I move somewhere better for my condition. Duke sat perfectly, vest on, while I smiled blandly, filing an ADA complaint the next day. Linda doubled down, spreading rumors online calling me a fraud, saying Duke was just a pet. Neighborly waves turned to slam doors, kids yanked away from Duke. The HOA passed a new rule in a secret meeting. 18-inch leashes for all pets, crippling Duke's ability to guide me. I adapted, shortening his leash, retraining commands, fighting to keep our independence. But one night, they crossed the line. It was 8 p.m., Duke and I in the backyard, practicing emergency drills. Gravel crunched by the side gate. Duke stiffened, alert but silent. "Who's there?" I called, hand on my phone. No answer. The gate clicked open, and two men in dark polos with fake badges stormed in. HOA security, one barked. Compliance inspection. I called them trespassers, but one lunged at Duke's harness. Duke stepped between us, barking once, show VYing with a shoulder no bite, just protection. They screamed about an attack, radioing for backup. I backed to the porch, commanding Duke to stay, my heart slamming as neighbors emerged, lights blazing. 6 men poured into my yard, guns half drawn, shouting for me to control that VY size animal. I tapped my phone's recorder, voice steady. HOA security is trespassing, threatening my Ser VYC dog with deadly force. Duke sat, ears forward, still as stone. I angled myself between him and the closest man, Tom. A neighbor who'd once called me unsafe. "You're violating federal law," I said, loud for the recording. Neighbors' phones clicked, capturing it all. Sirens wailed, and real police screeched in, ordering the fake cops to stand down. Linda appeared, sobbing theatrically in a silk robe, claiming she'd warned everyone. But my recording, plus neighbor VY Deos, told the truth. Unprovoked aggression by armed CIVYLians. The VY Deos went VY Row, headlines screaming about a blind man and his dog terrorized by HOA thugs. I filed lawsuits at EA violations, state discrimination, CIVYL claims for assault and trespass. Discovery was a gold mine. The security team was just board members and spouses in cheap polos, with fake badges and no training, carrying Walmart guns. The HOA's insurance dropped them, Leah VYing them liable for every penny. Linda's Facebook rant calling me unstable. Duke a weapon fell flat against the EVY Denke. Board members quit, neighbors turned on her, and a judge, a former ADA litigator, slammed the HOA with maximum damages, calling it systemic ableism. Maple Grove's property values tanked, except for my house, now a symbol of defiance. I could have moved settlement money, gave me options, but I stayed. Winning wasn't about Leah VYing. It was about Thrive VYing, where they try to break me. 6 months later, a new HOA president, Sarah, a disability rights lawyer, apologized publicly. Neighbors brought cookies, in VY Ted me to barbecues. Some scars linger, but every morning I sip coffee on my porch, Duke's head on my knee, his tail thumping. Sarah waves, calling "Morning, James." I raise my mug, a quiet smile spreading as a MOVY Ing van rumbles away, carrying the last of Linda's shattered pride. Duke nudges closer, and I murmur, "Good boy. We're home. We won, and no one's taking that from us again."